This is the Retirement Bullpen with Richard Warner. The team at Warner Financial Solutions want to help you feel confident about your retirement, no matter where you stand. Get more at warnerfinancialsolutions.com. Now, the Retirement Bullpen.
Target date funds have long been the set it and forget it option in retirement plans. But what happens when they start offering guaranteed income for life? Well, Vanguard's newest target date fund does just that. It's blending traditional investing with an annuity component designed to turn savings into a paycheck. Well, today we are breaking down whether this new approach gets it right or if it falls short and what it could mean to the future of retirement planning. You're listening to the Retirement Bullpen. I'm here with our host, Richard Warner. Richard is an investment advisor representative, certified retirement income professional, and owner of Warner Financial Solutions. You can learn more at warnerfinancialsolutions.com. And before we begin, if you missed our last episode on annuities, go back to that as a starting point before we dive into today's topic. Richard, how are you? Always a pleasure to see you.
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Alyssa?
Doing well. So this is a new offering that's just coming onto the market through Vanguard. Talk us through it. Anytime a new financial tool comes out, there are always questions. Where do we begin and what do we need to know?
Okay, let's start with some pros. The big positive to this is a lot of company-sponsored plans don't have a pension anymore. That's kind of become a thing of the past. There's a few out there, but mostly you're putting your funds in a 401k, some sort of plan like that, and you have to figure out how to disperse it yourself unless you get the help of somebody like me or a financial advisor of some sort. This allows you as a retiree, and as you're getting closer to that, to build in a lifetime income stream. So that's a big positive. That's a payment that you can get that you can't run out of, which in my opinion is a big gap for a lot of people.
Sure.
That is because it's kind of what we do every single day is helping people figure out how to take those funds and really create that predictable income stream. It's convenient because it's inside the employer plan.
Right.
It's backed by well-known institutions, Vanguard and TIA. It's a gradual exposure to annuities over time. So target date funds, in case you don't understand what those are designed to base your age, what you are now, and when you're going to retire, the year you think you're going to retire. And as you move closer to that date, it automatically shifts to more conservative. Well, you can build into this particular program. Once you hit a particular age, it starts building some of that into a annuity payment that will then trigger at that date. So it begins shifting it over there for you to create that payment, which in the end, going back to, we didn't really touch on this in the last session on annuities, but one of the biggest reasons people utilize annuities is to limit their sequence of return risk, which is simply this. A lot of people assume as they're accumulating assets for retirement that as you accumulate, you're going to get so much return. You look back, I've got this average annual return, and if I take that percentage, let's just say I received in my 40 years of accumulation 8%, well, I should be able to keep it in those funds and just pull 8% out every single year, and I'm never going to run out of money. And if you got 8% every single year, like clockwork, that would work. Unfortunately, that's not how the market works.
Right.
Sometimes it goes up 20, sometimes it goes down 20. You may average 8, but those times that it's down and you're still consistently withdrawing funds, you're actually selling shares at a loss, which means you have to sell more shares to create the same income, which creates long-term drag on your account if those downturns are for too extended periods of time. So this strategy in and of itself, utilizing annuity, utilizing income payments, helps reduce that because it creates a guaranteed payment month after month after month, and you can't outlive it. Even if you would spend that portion of the money completely, it's going to still keep giving you that payment. So those are the positives.
Okay. And before we dive into the negatives, I have to share this analogy that just came to my head for those listening that are visuals like me. But when you talk about sequence of returns risk and you talk about the market going down, I just had this imagery of a well. And maybe it's because, growing up in rural Maine, city people don't have wells. I get it. But if you grew up on a well, you knew that if you had a dry season, that you had to be more careful about pulling water out of the well or using water for doing your laundry, things like that. And the same is true when you're talking about your 401k and it being in the stock market. We
Yes.
like the idea that we've made all of this money, but if we are withdrawing from it when the well is down because we've had a bit of a drought and the markets are down, we are pulling water where there isn't as much. Is that a good analogy?
That is a really good analogy, actually. I'm going to save that one. That's, I like that. The only thing that's different when the market's down for too long, too far is you're actually below dirt level at some points.
Right.
So there's no water, but you still need to draw water out.
And that's problematic.
Which is hard
you get
to
a bucket
illustrate.
of mud.
Yeah, it's hard to illustrate in a well because you're not going to wash your laundry or drink a bucket of mud. But yeah, the analogy will help people understand it, I think, real well.
Okay, so we talked about the pros of this new tool. Now, what do we have to take into consideration in terms of cons? Because there's always two sides to every coin.
Okay, so I'm going to start with probably the most apparent one, and that is complexity. Now, if you're utilizing an annuity outside on your own, it's still complex, but you're typically working with somebody to get advice and direction on how that fits. In this scenario, and in most group retirement plan settings, I say most because there's a few exceptions, you don't get a lot of investment advice.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get a lot of direction. So you've got to make these decisions on your own. Are you choosing the right amount? Are you keeping enough liquidity? How much income do you need? You may just focus on that and put too much into the fixed side and then not have enough liquidity to handle surprises down the road of retirement. So it reduces your flexibility and liquidity, especially if you're not sure how to handle that. Secondly, inside of retirement plans held at companies, there are typically, almost always, limited investment options.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be limited annuity options. One or two or three annuities don't fit everybody's needs. There are 1,000 insurance companies out there, just like there's thousands of ETFs, mutual funds, stocks. When you're ready to retire, diversification is key. What you use to fit with that is very important. So you may not have inside those company-based options everything you need. Another big thing is once you do it, it's done. You can't really reverse the decision. So going back to my big beginning point of the complexity of understanding them, do you really want to make a decision, I'm going to dump such and such hundreds of thousands of dollars into this account that you can't change, that you probably lose liquidity on completely, that becomes kind of like a pension with no information. Now, some people are smart enough and willing to do that because they have enough understanding, but a lot of people don't. And so, I mean, I have clients that even come to me with their pension options, even though I don't necessarily work for pension companies. They just want to understand how they work because they're very complex.
Sure.
If I choose this, what happens? If I choose that, what happens? The same applies here. The reality is, I don't know why you would want to utilize something like this inside, because when you move outside into the IRA world or the Roth IRA world, into custodians and the insurance companies in the open market, you probably are going to have similar and maybe even better options because there's just a wide variety of them out there. But you're also going to have somebody to walk you through the process, understanding what's the right amount, what's the right type, and then how does it fit with everything else if this happens or that happens or this happens down the road.
That was going to be one of my questions. Do we see this as sort of limiting in that it keeps you stuck with what the company has decided that money is going to do versus having the flexibility of coming to someone such as yourself and say, I have X amount of dollars and now I can decide exactly how and where I want to put that money?
That is probably the biggest issue with it is, again, most 401k plans or group qualified plans for retirement have limited options. I mean, even the really, really big ones have limited options. They just have a lot more limited options, but most of them don't have a lot of options. And so the benefit of moving outside is having somebody to help, but you are only limited at that point by what that person can recommend, which if you're working with a true fiduciary, you're probably not going to have any limitations there. Or what the IRS limits you to invest inside of a IRA or a Roth IRA, which obviously you couldn't invest that in a 401k either. So I think it's just more of a win-win for the client if this is the approach they're going to take. I think it's neat, And I think there's probably some people that will take advantage of it just because they kind of enjoy this kind of thing and
Sure.
do it on their own. But I think the vast majority of people would be better off going outside and getting something that is not limited, that specifically fits what they're after.
The thing I found interesting about it is that there was a study done by Policy Genius, and 79% of Americans don't know what an annuity is in the first place. And so here we are adding this option as part of a target date fund, and it's a tool that the vast majority of Americans don't even understand in the first place. So how can they possibly be making the correct decision on what to do with it if they've got it?
Yeah, that's very, very true. And I would say most people think that annuity is a bad word as well, just
Sure.
because they've heard it. So that's going to steer them away from it completely. So they're not going to spend the time to understand it. It's just, there's just a lot of limiting features to it.
If someone is considering this and, it's something that their company is offering, give me 3 questions that they should go in armed with in order to make an informed decision about whether or not they should consider it.
Okay, so if you're going to utilize an annuity, there has to be some kind of insurance company internally backing the thing. Otherwise, it's not really an annuity. So a first question I would ask is, how many insurance company options do I have to pick from? Okay, because in the open marketplace, there's literally thousands. The second, inside of that, what kind of interest earning methods would be built into that? Okay, be the second point. And the third is, how much income can I get? Can I go out in the open market and do better or do similar?
Mm-hmm.
There's probably going to be times where a particular situation is going to have a better payout, because that can be true with pension options a lot of times too. That's going to have a better payout just to take that payout. In that case, if that's all you're after with that piece of the money, then you should, by all means, you should get the highest dollar amount guarantee that you can out of that. But you've got to do a little research on that and then compare that, in my opinion, with what's in the open market.
Do we know if this option means that when the person passes, that any remaining money goes onto a beneficiary, or is it like any other income annuity or some income annuities where once you've taken your income, that's it, it's done? Do we know?
So that's going back to the complexity of it, which it really depends upon the option they choose.
Got it.
Which it's going to be much like when you do a pension. So if you choose a single life payout and that lump sum is designed to go to an annuity payment that really is just annuitizing your money, you've lost control of that lump sum based on a single life, yours. And if you walk out the door crossing that street with that check and get hit by a Mack truck, that's the only check
that gets
you're going to get out of that. Now, obviously, you won't care, but the principle of getting the most out of your money and your family, especially if you have a spouse involved. Now, you could probably choose a joint option on your spouse, but if you don't have a spouse, some people don't, then a lot of times you are really limited in those situations. And then you have to be really careful with your choices because it's really easy for it to disappear.
Well, Vanguard's new target date funds may signal where retirement plans are headed, but whether they're right for everyone is still open for discussion. If you're looking for personalized guidance for your portfolio, you can schedule a complimentary consultation with Richard today. You can do so by visiting WarnerFinancialSolutions.com. Again, that's WarnerFinancialSolutions.com. And of course, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. We appreciate you tuning in, and join us next time.
Insurance products are offered to the insurance business Warner Financial. Warner Financial is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Warner Financial are not subject to investment advisor requirements. NPN number 7617022. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be considered as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Warner Financial is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Warner Financial.